Hey guys, it's Karina here with another video. So today I'm going to be talking about the book, How the Bible Actually Works, by Enns. It's an amazing book. It is so good. It just goes into depth about how the Bible's ancient, ambiguous, and diverse. He explains how God is not a helicopter parent and that he gives us the freedom to use our wisdom to interpret the Bible. And, he doesn't expect us to be perfect. He trusts us. And in the book, he explains how the Bible can be really ambiguous. Like, for example, the Ten Commandments. It says to honor your parents. Well, what does that look like? Like, I feel like it's very unclear, that commandment. Like, if your parent does something really bad, do you still honor them? Are you allowed to question your parents? Like, what does honoring look like? It can be very ambiguous. So I think that changing times require us to adjust how we think about God and faith. The Bible kind of presents God as like an alcoholic dad. Like, sometimes he's killing people, sending plagues, physically punishing people, and then the next minute he's like forgiving people and loving them, like all at the same time. Like, the picture doesn't really make sense of God in the Bible. So it's like we almost have to reimagine God. One of my favorite quotes from the book is, it says that the God I read about in the Bible is not what God is like in some timeless abstraction, and that's that, but how God is imagined and reimagined by ancient people of faith living in real times and places. But how they experienced God, and therefore how they thought and wrote about God, were filtered through their experience and when and where they existed. So I think this perfectly explains the fact that these people, they weren't necessarily lying about God, but they were simply explaining their experience. And their experience of God might not make sense to us, and it might not line up, and the way they explained it might not be the way we understand it. So this is all to say, like, interpretation is so specific and experience is so specific, so to understand that today and to make sense of that today can be very confusing and complicated. So I think it is really important that we have to take some time to reimagine what God is, and I think we as people do need to use our wisdom and decide for ourselves what God actually looks like, because it's not clear in the Bible. So I think we as people need to use our judgment and discernment to figure out what is true and not true about God. So yeah, just to reiterate, they imagined God in the only way that God would make sense to them, through the language and concepts of their time and place, which creates a huge barrier. Like, that makes things a lot more complicated and complex for us to understand right now, here and today. So that's why it's important for us to evolve and try to make sense of things and use our wisdom to make sense of things. So this is an amazing book. I highly recommend it. It really explains biblical interpretation and how people were like back then, and it gives you a lot of context. It helps you understand how the Bible was written and how you really do need to use wisdom and discernment while reading it. So I really highly recommend you check out the book. And he also has a podcast called The Bible for Normal People, which is also super amazing. And he also does an interview with God is Grey, Brenda, and it's really good. So I highly recommend you check out all those things. I will link them below, and as well as his book. But yeah, let me know if you like this video. Please subscribe, hit that bell, and I hope you guys have a great week. I know that if God puts you to it, he will put you through it. Alright, bye guys.